该来中国. Americans, you should come to China. Come visit. Come live. It's an interesting place to be. Now, why do I say that? Give me 1 minute to try to convince you. China is one of the most beautiful places you have ever seen. And you've seen none of it. Barely anyone even knows about it. There are places that are so astonishingly beautiful. Guilin, Huangshan, Zhangjiajie. The incredible cliffs that plunge down into the Yangtze River. The Yellow River as it runs through these vast plains. All over, palaces just spread across the whole country that are hundreds, sometimes thousands of years old. The food, there's nothing like it anywhere else in the world. It's the richest, most varied, best cuisine in the world. And it gets no credit. But you come here and you realize every province has its own cuisine, and they're as different as French food is to Italian food, is to Kenyan food. You'll eat some of the most delicious food you ever have. Some of the spiciest, some of the saltiest, some that has the strongest umami flavor you've ever experienced. And you could literally eat a different meal every day of the year in China and never repeat. The people, Chinese people will welcome you. Chinese people are curious about the outside world in a way that very few other countries will. The history, you know, we're used to studying Greek history and Roman history and European history. China's history is longer and just as fascinating, just as rich and varied. Chinese fashion, you know, you want to see where the future of fashion is. You want to see where people are innovating in a way like nowhere else. You want to see street style like you've never seen in your life. You know, Beijing, Shanghai, Chengdu, places like this. Architecture. When's the last time you saw a building anywhere that made you say, wow, how did they do that? You'll see that every day in every city in China. The technology, it's astonishing to everyone who comes to China. Trains, the way you pay for things. No one would ever pull out, you know, cash in China anymore on your phone or even just facial recognition. You walk up, pick something up, zzz, it's paid for. Chinese literature, Chinese writing, Chinese calligraphy. Here's the thing. I'm prejudiced because I lived there for 27 years, you know. There are a lot of fascinating places in the world, but most of them you know about, sort of had a bit of an interface with. China is one of these strange places where the vast amount of just amazing stuff, it's such a contradiction with how much people know about it. I mean, that's it really, right? Like in America, we encounter China like through a little Chinese restaurant or maybe through Chinatown. It's not that China is so much more interesting than other places. It's that the vast amount of cool stuff, amazing stuff in China is in such conflict with this narrow window that we get of China. What you have to understand about China is you can't think of China as the equivalent of like Spain or France or whatever, like these actually very small countries. You can't think of China just as a country. You should think of it as a vast civilization. It's amazing that you barely know exists. So come, it'll be one of the most interesting decisions of your life.